Hey YouTubers and Pokemon fans, welcome back to the Pokemaster Slayer YouTube channel. And today I have a very evil deck for y'all today. Yes, this deck is pure evil. It makes your opponent super upset. And as you can see in the title, the main attacker is Shaymin. So let's get into this deck. Alrighty. So let's see what's so interesting about this deck. Our main attacker of the deck is Shaymin Ex. We run 4 copies, and Shaymin Ex has really good. It's mainly used to help speed up your deck. It has an ability called Setup, and when you play this Pokemon from your hand onto your bench, you may draw cards till you have 6 in your hand. So it's basically a free Biaka as an ability. The supporter Biaka from whatever Black and White, I think. But for DCE, the main thing we're going to be focusing on is the attack. For DCE, Sky Return does 30 damage. Return this Pokemon and all cards attached to it back to your hand. And I'm going to be showing you how we buff this attack like insane. And this deck did really well for me. It was my opponents were freaking out like, what are you running a Shaymin deck for? But yeah, I want to show you how this deck works. 4 copies of Shaymin. I run 4 copies of Piplup. And a lot of people that know this card already know where it's going. I run 2 copies of Primplup, and then I run 4 copies of Empoleon from Breakthrough. And what the Breakthrough Empoleon does, it's called Dignified Fighter. Each of your basic Pokemon's attacks do 20 more damage. So this is how we buff Shaymin's attack, and if you have most of the time you want to have 3 of these guys out. If you get 4 guys out, you are the boss. You are a boss. You are just legit broken. And so basically we want to pile up on Piplup's Empoleon army. Welcome back to the Empoleon army. Nah, this is not an Empoleon deck. But it's here. This time he's here for the supporter, not Shaymin. So basically if you have 3 of these guys out, that's 20, 40, 60 on top of with the 30, and we still have even more ways to buff that damage. So basically the maximum amount of damage you could do in one turn with this deck, I believe it's 20, 40, 60, 80, 80, 110, 130, you could do up to 160, 150 with this deck for DC with the Shaymin. So yeah, it's really nice once you get set up. 4 copies of Empoleon from Breakthrough. And I run 1 Lugia EX, because you just got to have 1 more regular attacker. And Lugia is still overpowered. Plus, it gets even more overpowered with Empoleon, because if you have 3 Empoleons out and you promote this guy, he's already doing 60 more damage on top of, that's 80, 100 damage. So even Deep Sea Hurricane, if you don't have field blowers and stuff, use Deep Sea Hurricane to get rid of those stadiums. And plus you could get knockouts with this deck with Empoleon. And it's so nice because it's like Arrow Ball. It does 20 more damage times the amount of energy attached to both Pokemon, so including Lugia and your opponent. So it could basically get up to 200 damage. I would say on average 160 with Arrow Ball, but Deep Sea Hurricane could definitely get up to 250 for sure. And that's the last of our Pokemon. On to supporters. Now, a supporter line is a bit more crazy, because you're about to see why. I run 4 copies of N. You can run 4 copies of Cynthia, but I run 4 copies of N because this deck doesn't take, well, it can take knockouts really fast if you want it to. But, sometimes you just got to troll your opponent. So run 4 copies of N to ruin your opponent sometimes, or help him out, either way. Or you can run 4 copies of Cynthia, doesn't matter. I run 3 copies of Professor Kukui because we want to do that extra damage with our Shaymins. So that adds on the extra 20 on top of the Empoleons, on top of Shaymin's normal damage. It's insane. But what Professor Kukui does, you draw 2 cards, and during this turn, your Pokemon's attacks do 20 more damage. So Shaymin does an extra 20 damage. If you just Professor Kukui on your first turn, you don't have any Empoleons, it's an extra 20 damage. So Sky Return does 50 damage. So that's not bad. And you get some draw support out of it. Better than Giovanni's Scheme. Or you could run 3 copies of Giovanni's Scheme just in case you want to just draw, don't do damage. But yeah, I'd rather do draw and damage at the same time. 3 copies of Professor Kukui. I was running 4, but that was a little too excessive, so I took out that one. So I run 2 copies of AZ, not Acerola. I originally played Acerola, but Acerola kind of sucked. AZ helps out. Like, if your hand is low, you could literally AZ up a Shaymin and just put it back on your bench because it is your main attacker. You always want it out. So yeah, AZ is a wonderful card. And you could pick, and plus it could keep your opponent from getting knockouts on high Pokemon, like EX or regular Pokemon. You can send out a certain card, which we'll get to. I run 1 Pokemon fan club to search a deck for 2 basic Pokemon, like search a deck for Piplup or Shaymin Lugia, Piplup Lugia. It doesn't matter, just get any Pokemon you want. 2, well, it has to be basic. But yeah, 2 basic Pokemon you want, and then I run 1 Lysander, not Guzma, people, you see. Lysander, not Guzma. Lysander? That's Lysander. Okay, so you can't give me hate. It's a Lysander, but the main reason why I run Lysander is because I don't really want to be switching my Pokemon up too much in this deck. Unless you want to run Guzma, it's your choice, but Lysander works a lot better than Guzma. Trust me on that. But 1 copy of Lysander. That's the end of our supporters. On to items. Now, this is where things get a little funky. I run 4 copies of VS Seekers, call back our supporters. It's like, hey, we need some help again. Run 4 copies of Ultra Ball, search your deck for Pokemon. Run 4 copies of Puzzle Time because we want to be able to reuse any of our things in our deck, so it helps. I run 3 copies of Rare Candy, not 4, because since we have 2 copies of Primplup in here, unless you take out a Primplup, then you could add in a 4th Rare Candy, but I found it to work that having 2 Primplup and 3 Rare Candy seem to work better, just in case you want to get 2 Empoleon out. Now, since you can't tell what these are Robo Substitutes, and basically they're items to where it's basically, you cannot, it's a Pokemon, but it's a fake Pokemon. You can't start with this card, but you may put it onto your bench and pretend like it's a 30 HP basic colorless Pokemon. So, and your opponent can't get prizes off of it because it's an item card. So basically, you make it to where your opponent can't get knockouts on your Shaymins, because whenever you Sky Return, you're basically going to send this out as a proxy Pokemon. Literally, it's a fake Pokemon, so it's a proxy. It's a robot. Okay, it's a robot Pokemon that could take the damage for you without your opponent having to get any prizes, unless they Lysander or something, force them to waste their supporter. But yeah, this helps you win games so hard. Especially, you can discard it out of your active if you want, or you could play a switch or something, or basically Super Scoop it. AZ works because it considers it a Pokemon. So yeah, or you could just discard it, which most of the time you're gonna discard it, so you could promote another Shaymin or Lugia, whatever you want in the active. But yeah, run 3 copies of Robo Substitute. Robo Substitute's from Phantom Forces, so y'all know, just in case you want to search it up, what it does fully. I run 2 copies of Muscle Band and 1 Choice Band. This is the last extra damage we add on to Shaymin, to where Shaymin could do 150 or 160 with Choice Band. Does 160 with Choice Band, and then does up to 150 with Muscle Band. But that's if you got that's if you have the best game ever. That's if you have all your damage adders on every single turn. And plus, it's really just honestly overpowered. It's pure evil. But yes, we run 2 Muscle Band, 1 Choice Band. And then I run 2 copies of Super Scoop Up, to where what it does is you flip a coin. If heads, return one of your Pokemon and all cards attached to it back into your hand. So basically, it's an Acerola, but you have to flip with it instead. And it's an item card. But yeah, Super Scoop Up, 2 copies. I run 1 copy of Field Blower, because you know what? I want to run my own Field Blower, just because I do run into Garb. But honestly, Garbodor isn't, there's no point in running it. We just have it there just for Parallel City. And I run 1 Super Rod, because you know what? We do run regular energies in here, but we shuffle back 3 of any combination of Pokemon we want, and basic energies. So yeah. And then I run 1 Special Charge, because you know what? We want to be able to reuse our DCEs. And yeah, so on and so forth. On to energy count. I run 4 copies of DCEs. And then I run 1, 2, 3, 4 basic water energies. So guys, this is my pure evil Shaymin deck, And this deck always frustrates people, and they're like, okay, I gotta test out this deck for myself. But yes, guys, this is the end of the video, and I will be posting maybe tomorrow. I don't know, but see y'all later. Boom, 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 boom.